If you're interested in or thinking about investing in shares versus investing in property, there's a few things you need to consider. First thing is, shares are much more liquid than property. So if you need cash fast, then if you have a shares portfolio, the likelihood is you can press a button on your computer, on your Mac or on your PC, or indeed on your phone. You can sell your shares, get the cash within a day or two, and so you're very liquid. So if you had a problem with, say, an urgent and pressing payment due, for example revenue commissioners, well then you can get the money from the share sale easily enough. However, property wouldn't have that benefit or that advantage. Property is much more illiquid, much more of a lead time required to sell property, the legalities and so on and so forth. So property is a different ballgame completely to selling shares. The second feature of shares versus property would be leverage. With property you can leverage it. In other words, you can borrow money from a bank and you can put, say, 10% or 20% down or whatever and borrow the balance. You can't really do that with shares. So the advantage with property is you can use leverage, you can use borrowing, and if you use it well and you use it judiciously, then you can get a very good return, not just on your own money but on the borrowed money, which is going to create a ratchet effect for your own money, a multiplier. One thing that I overlooked in thinking about property versus shares, and it's only come to me in the last few days, especially since I was messing around there at the BidX1 auction and looking at properties there. One thing that I've overlooked is the fact that you can enhance property. You can do something with it. With a bit of imagination you can add something to it and maybe make it worth more. Maybe you need planning permission, maybe you can carry out certain works without planning permission, but you can add to it or enhance your asset and maybe get a return that way, whereas that's not going to be the case with shares. All you can do with the shares is sit and wait and hope that the companies do well, hope that the companies perform well, make more sales, make more profits, hope the executives make good decisions and so on. And that's something that I kind of overlooked there when I was weighing up property versus shares. Now, my background would be from a property background, but I got badly burnt there in the crash with the Celtic Tiger 2008 or 9, and that would have left a fairly strong memory with me of running out of cash, all my money being in property, the market crashing and absolutely nothing I could do about it. So, 2007 or 8 or whenever the Celtic Tiger property market came crashing to an end, that left an indelible sort of mark with me, and so I always was kind of determined to stay liquid and not be caught like that again. But as I say, it only struck me there recently that if I was to buy property, I could perhaps enhance it either structurally or indeed from a legal title perspective. In other words, I could take a property that might have problems with its legal title, and I could, because of my legal experience and expertise, I could remedy those problems and therefore add value. So you don't always have to add value with property when it comes to by structure or by development. You could add value by buying an imperfect title that you can fix, and that's what I've been looking at. So that is another way of adding value, and that's why I have decided to look at property again and basically reconsider the pros and cons of shares versus property. The other thing with the shares is they're very good. They'll increase over time, accumulate in value if you make good judicious investments and spread your risk and so on and so forth. But it can be boring enough insofar as you're just waiting and watching and waiting for share prices to increase and dividends to be paid out, and there's not a whole pile you can do. You're very much a spectator. Whereas with property, if you have a bit of imagination, then I wouldn't suggest getting carried away or anything too vigorously, but you could, with a bit of imagination, add value to a property, whereas you can't do that with shares. So you can have shares in Ryanair or Smurfit's or Lloyd's Bank or wherever, but you are very much dependent on the chief executives and the boards of directors to do their thing, and you're dependent on the general public then to consume their company's products and so on and so forth. So that's my view now on shares versus property investing, and the subtle differences between the two, and the one overlooked difference that I have overlooked for a few years, actually, I must admit, is the question of adding value. You can't add value to shares. All you can do is buy them and sell them and hold them or whatever, whereas with a property, with a bit of imagination, and as I say, if you know what you're doing and with legal title, you can actually add value. So I'm down here at the harbour in Enfield. It's lunchtime. It's 26th of July 2024. It's a nice day. It's a nice place just to get a bit of fresh air into the lungs, especially when you're sitting in the office all day. So hopefully this audio will be okay. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up button down below. Thanks a lot. This may sound like a dumb question, but what's to stop a homeless person climbing on board there and setting up shop, setting up their home there? I'm just wondering. I'm not suggesting it should happen or anything, but if I was owning that boat now and I was leaving it there, not sure whether I'd be sleeping entirely easy at night. I do know that there's a poor man sleeping on a bench here in Enfield the last few days, so I suppose it could happen anywhere. How are you?